So today we are starting with a new composition of Bhagavan Bhashyagara Adi Shankara Bhagavad. Before we get into Bhajagovindam, let us look at the context as well as the goal of this Kriti. In management terms, we usually say must do's and do difference. Maybe something that we regularly do versus something that we could do newly. When I use that analogy, I can say that realization of the true power within us, that is the only thing that we need to do. For us, this is a must do. Rest of the things that we do in life is desirable. When I say desirable, for our livelihood, we have to do different things. Because our prarabdham suggests to do certain things. If you are a doctor, if you are a teacher, if you are a nurse, based on your profession, based on your dharma, you have to do the things. Right? So, the prarabdham is destined. So, we have to do certain karma in life based on the design, based on the build. When I say rest is desirable, and the first and foremost is the realization of the true potential which is within us. Rest of the things that we do in life is, say, desirable, and we need to ensure that those things that we do as a part of the rest of the items will also help towards the realization of that power which is within us. That is where Bhagavan says about karma yogam, upasana yogam, bhakti yogam, etc. Everything that we do in life, be it doing a puja, doing work in the office, those work ultimately should enable cultivating the quality that is needed for realizing our true potential, for realizing the true self. Shruti says as Atma Sakshatkaram, Ishvara Sakshatkaram, Brahma Sakshatkaram, Moksham, Mukti, inner freedom, etc. But our problem is we are so much acclimatized with the endeavors that we do in the world. We can say we are in the play of life. We are in the play of life. But there is a profound dimension that we all have to understand. That is above the play of life. One is the play of life. Play of life is the regular affair that we do on a daily basis in terms of interacting with the world, in terms of the transactions that we carry in life. So what we are discussing now is transactions in life is important, but that is not the utmost aim. And what we need to do is those transactions that we do in our life, we need to ensure that those transactions or the kind of transactions that we do will help us in terms of building the quality in us towards realizing the true potential, the true self which is within us. When we say the play of life, we need to understand that that is a superficial realm. So our problem is we wrongly identifying ourselves with the play of life rather than the substratum that is enabling the play of life. We are forgetting the truth, we are forgetting the true nature, we are forgetting the substratum that is enabling the play of life, called as avabodham, jnati, or we say something which is beyond or something which is outside the self. Aham idam. Idam is all known self. In another way, Satyam and Mithya. So the issue that we all have, or the challenge that we get from the day-to-day life, is ourselves getting identified with the play of life. We think that this is the reality, including the body that we have, including the capabilities that we have. We are forgetting the intelligence behind the instrument, body or mind or senses, as the capacity or the kind of, what is the right word, the receptors. Forgetting the intelligence and identifying ourselves with the instrument. Forgetting the true source within us and identifying with the different instruments that we deal. When I say instruments, including the body, including the mind, including the senses, including the different transactions that we do, including the possessions that we carry, including the identities that we create out of the transactions. But there is a fundamental problem with all these transactional objects. The limitation is all about it has got a limited sustenance. This is coming, sustaining and going. Including the body. If you see the body undergoes the different parinam. Asti, jayade, vardhade, vivranavade, avakshiyade, vinashyade. These 6 modifications our body is also undergoing. So it means the body is also not going to exist. The mind is also not going to exist. Whatever we deal in life, there are limitations. So one has to overcome the limitations of the Upadhi. When you say Upadhi, the instruments, including the body, mind, intellect, senses, and whatever identities that we possess. Those identities are, we can say, these all are the assumed identities, not the real identity. So what one has to do is, through constant practice, understand the reality behind the play of life. The reality behind the play of life, rather than associating and getting bounded with the play of life. One has to take a U-turn from the instrument to the intelligence. In another way, Vedanta says Swabhavam to Swarupam. Swabhava is all about the assumed personalities or assumed identities. And Swabhava will always change. We cannot have a single Swabhava, because The nature of the names and forms are always changing, including the mind. We ourselves can witness the changes that are happening in our mind. Correct. We say, yeah, when I got up early morning, I was very relaxed and very calm. Now I am very disturbed after seeing that incident or after having an interaction with so and so. My mood got changed. I can see the kind of difficulties that I am undergoing. So who is witnessing? The mind is undergoing different emotional levels. Who is witnessing this? That real consciousness. We are that. But what is happening here is basically the influence of the matter world that includes our common habits that are happening out of what? Out of the mind, out of the body, out of the lifestyle that we carry. The true nature is kind of averaged out. When I say average out, creating the assumptions in the matter world, those creations, those false creations that we are creating is basically averaging out our true reality. Vedantam calls this as the ajnana. So what is happening is basically the laws of ignorance. The laws, meaning the false identifications. The body, mind, intellect. I assume certain possessions. I assume certain positions. Correct? So all those, what happens is basically those assumed personalities are basically averaging out our true capability. And that is basically, we can say, the ignorance or the assumed identities. And the ignorance is basically creating the avaranam, is basically hiding the knowledge, hiding the truth, hiding the true self. So our core is now layered meaning lot of identities are created around the core. Lot of superficial identities are created around that core. And that core is, as we saw in the beginning, the dhyana slogam, Sandra Ananda Avabodham. And that is beyond the limitations of space, time, object, causation. So our true nature is free. Our true nature is vast. Sandra Ananda Avabodham. It is vast, it is free. It is nirmuktam, nityamuktam. It is the real strength which is there within us. It is the embodiment of the knowledge. It is the center of perfection. That Hridaya Kuharam is the center of perfection. It is the center of calmness. It is the center of strength. In the Egaslogi of Ramana Bhagavan, Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram. He aham idi sakshat atma rupena bhadi. Hridaya Kuhara. This is not the physical heart. This is the center of our existence. And at that center is Sakshat Atma Rupena Bhadi. When we say aham, aham, I exist, I see this, I witness this, I enjoy this, the real owner, the real I, the real master, the real Sakshi, that Sakshi is beyond the mind, beyond the subtle mind. And that Sakshi is the Atma. And that Sakshi is behind and beyond the mind, behind and beyond all the upadhis, behind and beyond all the senses that you possess, behind and beyond the comprehension, not the apprehension, the comprehension of, or the comprehension that could be made by these upadhis. And our mind cannot arrive at that truth with its own limitations. We cannot experience this truth with the mind, because the mind is always occupied, the mind is always going outside. The only way to know this truth is basically make the mind calm, make the mind surrender. Again in Bhagavan, in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says in the 3rd chapter, the hierarchy, Indriyani paranyahu indriyebhya parammana manasastu parabuddhir yo buddhe paradastu. If you see the hierarchy, I don't know whether this is the right word to use, but Indriyani paranyahu indriyebhya parammana. So if you see the body, senses, mind, intellect, manasastu parabuddhir yo buddhe paradastu. And beyond the mind and intellect, this intelligence is shining. So what one has to do is, one has to find out a way to get the experience of this truth. Find out a way to reach this truth. In fact, that truth is within us. That truth is not somewhere. That truth is always existing. There is not even a time that that truth is not there within us. One has to find out a way to get into the experience of this, to reach it, to enter it. When you say enter, reach, etc., it is all about living with that truth. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. And this is the great discovery a human being can do, because this capacity is not given to all beings. Only human beings are equipped with this capacity, and out of n number of human beings, only few will be able to understand this. What is that understanding? I can do a great discovery. In fact, it is not a discovery, because discovery meaning finding something new or getting a new theorem or something. It is all about recognizing that. Recognizing that truth. So that's what I started with the play of life, right? Play of life is all about the transactions. The play of life is all about the worldly things, including body, mind, intellect, senses, the transactions, the possessions, the identities, etc. So the great discovery is all about the transcendence from the play of life to the above the play of life. Above the play of life meaning the reality behind the play of life, reality behind what we do. What is that reality? Identifying that reality, recognizing that reality, and being with that reality. This is the great discovery human beings can do, and only few will utilize this. So this is a transition, this is a U-turn, I would say U-turn, from the external plane to the internal plane. When I say U-turn, it is not something like, completely U-turn and running away from the life. No. This is all about connecting to the internal core. In Lilita Sahasranama, Devi is mentioned as Andar Mukha Samaradhya Behur Mukha Sudurlabha. Similarly, the potential which is within us to be known, to be linked, and all the things that we do in life should create the profound qualities to know this truth which is within us. See, in the world, you all know that. I don't need to explain what is happening in terms of technology and in digital space and things like that. Matter is always evolving. In the world, you can see a lot of things which makes or which brings a lot of convenience in the life. Evolution of matter is happening. Evolution of things are happening. And we don't need any special, capabilities to know that. How the world is changing, what are the changes happening, how technology is evolving, how things are becoming more comfortable and convenient, or how people think, what are the ways that they think. These all are, we don't need any special shastram to know this. But we are talking about the other plane, that is the evolution of consciousness in beings. That is where the science won't allow, science won't help us. Science always talk about outside things. That is where our Shastram helps. That is where our Siddhantam helps. That is where our Dharmam helps. That is where our scriptures help in terms of how we can evolve in the inner plane. How one can have the delight of existence. Upanishad says this as the bliss of Brahman. So the central idea of our Vedanta is all about knowing the true self. And by knowing the true self, you can create a new sense to your life. By knowing your true self, what wisdom we get? We are with that self, and we also create a new sense to our life. We have chosen Bhajagovindam. This is one of the great compositions of Bhagavan Bhashyagaran Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada. If you see the Bhagavan Shankaracharya's works, we can say that primarily the work of Bhagavad-pada, we can say the works are classified into three groups or three streams, we can say. Bhashyam, that is the commentaries. Bhashyam that Bhagavad-pada made on the different scriptures. You all know that. Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads and the Brahma Sutra. Second is the stotra that Bhagavan made. Many stotrams, you all know that, devotional compositions. Many, in fact, we have covered covered Pradasmarana Stotram, and many are the Dakshinamurti Stotram, Kanavadhara Stotram. The devotional compositions. The third is basically the Prakarana Grantha. We also saw Tattva Bodham, Atma Bodham, all the introductory manuals for a spiritual seeker, for enabling the spiritual studies, including the Viveka Chudamani, Atma Bodham, Tattva Bodham. One way we can also say the Bhajagovindam belongs to, though it is a stotram, 31 verses are there, we can also say this is also enabling it as a kind of introductory text or a prakarana, because there is a lot of Vedantic depth, Vedantic insights coming from the Bhajagovindam. And this Kriti is also called as Moha Mudgaram. Moha Mudgaram. Moham meaning delusion. And Mudgaram, the right word, or maybe another Sanskrit word we can choose is Musala. English, I really don't know what is the right word for. Maybe the people who are from Kerala knows the Olakka. Maybe only, the old generation will know about Olakka. Anyone knows the English word of Olakka? We can call it as generically as hammer, but I really don't know the English name of Olakka. We can call it as hammer, maybe. But the people who have seen Olakka will appreciate what I am trying to say. So, Moha Mudgaram. Olakka is for what? Olakka or hammer is for what? Hammer is to break things, right? Hammer is to crush. So, Moha Mudgaram meaning a hammer that will crush the delusion. Crush the delusion. Don't get scared, because here we are not doing any kind of, damage or anything. The Kriti that will help us to remove the Vyamoha, the equipment or the Upadhi or the device that will help to crush the delusion is Moha Mudgaram. So here Bhajagovindam is also having another name, Moha Mudgaram, the enabler or the one which removes the Vyamoham, that removes the delusion. As I mentioned, 31 verses are there. The first verse is the Pallavi. Pallavi is Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamade, Samprapte, Sannihide Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshadi Dukrinjarane. So first is Pallavi. Then the next 12 verses call it as the Dwadasha Manjari. Bhagavan Bhashyagaran himself wrote the first Pallavi and the 12 verses Dwadasha Manjari. Then comes the 14 slokas, 14 verses, Chadurdasha Manjari, where it is understood as the 14 disciples of Bhagavan Bhashyagaran, Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada, added these verses. The 14 verses are contributed by Jagadguru's disciples. So 1 plus 12 plus 14, 26 plus 1, 27. 31 minus 27, 4. So the last 4, the Sadhaka Anugrahartha, basically the blessings. The 4 verses, the last 4 verses are the blessings of Jagadguru to all of us. So here, Bhajagovindam, as I mentioned, Moha Mudgaram, the hammer that crushes the delusion. Here, one should understand that Bhajagovindam presents a very practical way to live and how to get rid of the lust and greed and how to attain the primary goal in life, how to attain that primary goal in life, and that primary goal in life is what? Is self-realization. So this kriti or this composition is blended with bhakti and jnanam, the devotion and the knowledge. Bhakti, jnanam. You can say it's Bhajagovindam is the kriti with bhakti jnana samanvayam. It's the amalgamation of bhakti and jnanam. And the kriti gives a practical way to live in this world, how to get rid of the distractions that come around the lust and greed, and how to have focus in life towards attaining the true potential in us, the true goal in life called as the self-realization. So here, one thing we all should understand, when we say avoid or control lust and greed, we all should understand that the materialistic needs are not nullified here. But what the kriti says is all about, what the kriti prescribes is all about the profound ways to overcome the difficulties in life. Because the mind always gets established with the outer realities, the outer influences. So what the kriti says is basically how to bring the mind a kind of control that will create the right attributes to realize the truth which is within us. So here again the context of Bhajagovindam is Bhagavad did the kriti, did the rachana, did the composition of Bhajagovindam during his pilgrimage to Kashi. So that is where the 14 disciples of Bhagavad accompanied the Guru. And when the Guru and Shishyas, so they were walking along the streets of Kashi, Jagadguru Adishankara observes one elderly man, we can call it as Pandit, trying hard to learn the Sanskrit grammar. That's where the first sloka says Dukrinj Karane, the sutra or the formula form of a grammar, essentially from the Panini, the book of Panini. At an advanced stage of a person or of a man like this, right? Like this person, the Pandit, The need of the hour is not learning the grammar and becoming conversant in that. The time or the time that is spent at this point of time to learn grammar should have been used for calling the God, calling Govinda. So here Acharya Swami urges that man to turn towards God and sing. So in the first verse, you can see the term Mudha Made. Acharya calls the man as a fool. We may feel that on what basis, right? Maybe without knowing the context, one can always debate that, learning is important, continuous learning is important for us to survive in industry and all those things we say. But the need of the hour for that person, maybe the context should also be known. Rather than doing the learning or even the Vada Pradivada, you should essentially spend the time for the Bhagavat Sakshatkara, the Ishvara Sakshatkara, knowing your true self. So here, a very, different treatment. When I say treatment, the term Mudha Made, calling as a fool, is basically, is a wake-up call for that man. A wake-up call for that man from his slumber. Or maybe a milder approach would not have create that sort of an impact. So that would be the reason of having or using that sort of a harshness as a Mudha Made. Hey fool, why can't you spend time for realizing the ultimate God in life? So that is where we need to understand that this matter is urgent. One way, we all should understand that this is the need of the hour for all of us. This matter is very urgent. We have spent enough time, we have wasted enough time by being in the samsara, by being with the association of the objective world. So now this is the time for us to, turn back, work towards lifting ourselves from the delusions, our own moha. Lift ourselves from these delusions to the greater heights of awareness. So here, don't think that this is applicable only for the old people. Taking a U-turn or lifting ourselves from the clutters of the world, from the delusion or the moha towards the greater heights of awareness. One has to know the true self. One has to be self-realized instead of getting deluded in this world. It is very important because we don't know what will happen to the body. Anytime anything can happen. You must be thinking that I am scaring on a very nice evening. Don't feel that. If you go to Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, Akshara Brahma Yoga, Anta Kaleja Mameva Smaran Muktva Kalevaram Ya Prayadi Sa Madbhavam Yati Nwastodre Samshaya. Remembering me alone. When you give up the body, remembering me alone will only help. You will gain my true nature without any doubt. So here we need to understand that God is not an external item. Please understand that. You remembering me alone during the last days. Anda kaleja mameva smaran muktva kalevar. So basically, while you give up the body, remembering me alone will only gain my true nature. You are with that intelligence. So it is not, this is not something that should happen only during the, perishing time of body. No. Always we should have the smarana. We should always be linked. We should always be connected with that intelligence. We should always be connected with that truth. In the company of the inner truth. In the company of inner truth meaning in the company of God. In the company of that inner consciousness, we have to live. So that is where again in the 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita says, Tatradam buddhi samyogam labhade paurvadehigam. So the person who has this dominant thought or consistent connect with the inner reality will establish from there in the next janma. Basically in the prior birth where that person has created the final coordinate, from that coordinate that person will start using the things and will strive for liberation in the next day. Meaning we need to have that samskara, that sort of a culture. What is the culture? The consistent connect with the inner core. The consistent connect with the inner self. Consistent connect with that reality. And use that energy, use that as a force, use that as a driving force to live in this world. Verse number 1. I hope you all have the book. Otherwise, what I will do is I will send the English as well as the Sanskrit, or one of you also can post it in the WhatsApp group. The verse number 1 is, we can also sing it in a very beautiful way, but as I am not a good singer, I will not sing it, but I will just chant it. Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam bhaja mudhamade, samprapte sannihite kale, samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dukrinj karane, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam bhaja mudhamate. Oh fool, stop wasting your time in unnecessary things. See, the context here is studying grammar and rules and things like that, right? We need to understand that whatever is irrelevant for our growth in life, stop wasting time in unnecessary things. Instead of that, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam. Meditate upon the Govindan, meditate upon the God, and try to understand that God which is your own reality. Meditate upon Him and try to understand what is His real nature instead of giving excessive importance or value to the outside world, to the samsaram. Meaning, don't give unnecessary significance to the play of life. Give significance to the reality behind the play of life. Need to go above the play of life and understand the reality behind the play of life. And that is our ultimate goal in life. So do the Bhajagovindam worship, do the seva to the God. How? Through total surrender and the devotion in that Lord, in that Govindam. So here, in another way we can consider, you liquidate your ego. You liquidate your ego and realize the true self. Here, Govindan, you all know that, I don't need to explain in depth. Govinda is the essence of everything. He is the truth of everything. He is the substratum of everything. You realize that Govindan. You realize Govindan as the essence or the truth behind all living things. And again, you realize Govinda as the truth that enlivens all organs, all the Indriya. You realize that Govinda as the reality which is indicated by the Mahavakyas. The four Mahavakyas says, Tattvamasi, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi. All the Mahavakyas, right? The supreme reality indicated by the Mahavakya. As the Govinda, you realize that Govinda. So in short, Govinda is the true reality, is the supreme Brahman, is the Atman. When it is compared from an individual manifested body, Atma, that supreme Brahman, that Govinda, that Parampurul, you need to realize. How to realize? You seek the knowledge. You seek the knowledge that will aid in the realization of the self. The realization of that Govinda as the self. You need to get the knowledge to realize that self. You need to get the knowledge, you need to meditate, you need to contemplate upon that knowledge and seek the Govinda which is there as your Antaryami, and not only that, as the ever pervading truth. And you are also a part of the truth. So the ultimate purpose in our life is seek the Govinda, the consciousness, the truth, the essence of everything. And that is within you. You realize that instead of doing unwanted things. So here, for us, the thoughts for reflection from the first verse is, who am I and what is the true purpose of my life? What is the ultimate goal in my life? And when we say nahi nahi rakshadi dukrinj karane, all those unwanted things that you are trying to do in life will not help you or will not save you. What is the symbolism of? You need to really interpret when you say dukrinj karane or the word grammar. Am I doing something which is non-essential in my life and that is hindering me to reach the ultimate goal in life? Third reflection should be, what are the ways that I should seek to realize the Govinda as my inner reality? Next verse, we will conclude with that today as we don't have much time. Verse number 2. One of you can chant. You all know Bhajagovindam very well. Who is going to volunteer? No one? Do you have a book?
Don't have.
Don't have. Nobody is having. No, that is the third verse. Second one. Mudajihi.
Mudajihi dhanag prasna. Mudajihi dhanagram prasna kurusad tizam manti krishna. Yallavase nij karmopatam vittam tena vinodaya vichitra.
Very nice. Mudajihi dhanagama trishnam Kuru sadbuddhi manasi vidrishnam Yallabhase nija karmopatam Vittam tena vinodaya chittam Bhajagovindam Bhajagovindam Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate Mudha Jehihi Dhanagama Trishna Kuru Sadbuddhim Manasi Vitrishna Yallabhase Nija Karmo Patam Vittam Tena Vinodaya Chittam. Again, Mudha, the first word itself is Mudha. One who comes to suffer from one's own ignorance of the true potential. The one who has not understood the true potential is Mudha. Mudha Jehihi Dhanagama Trishna. You give up the thirst to acquire wealth. You give up the thirst to have possessions that will provide temporary satisfaction. Dhanagama Trishna. Trishna meaning what? Trishna is all about giving up the desire for wealth. It is not to renounce the wealth. Please understand. When we say give up the desire for wealth, is all about chasing after the wealth. Kuru sadbuddhim manasi vitrishna. So when the mind is cleansed of the passions and meditate upon the reality as the Govinda, Yallabhase nija karmopatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam. So find out to achieve the unlimited happiness within, rather than seeking the wealth of worldly objects to get their happiness. So instead of seeking happiness from the world of objects and the wealth, find out the unlimited happiness within. So here, please understand that Bhashagaran is not saying that wealth is not needed or something like that. Here the intent is to give up the thirst to acquire wealth and you be content without that. Don't be in a rat race for acquiring wealth. Otherwise also, you should have contentment in life. You need to develop the prasada buddhi. And you should also reflect upon one thing, that does the wealth give everything in life? Here the question is not about whether wealth is needed or money is needed or not. No, money itself is not bad. The only problem is the trishna, the relentless thinking or thirst is a problem. Don't chase money. Money should chase you. Don't chase wealth. There is no harm in getting or earning money that is obtained through the honest work, through, or what I can say is as per one's dharma. If you are entitled to get, no harm, earn it. But one should not be greedy. Here, one should not chase money for the sake of being happy in life. Thirst of money should go. That is where the moham should go. So dhanam meaning it is not only money. Money, beyond money, all human pursuits for enjoyment and the collection of wealth. We can say dhana as the pursuits of human beings for enjoyment and the collection of wealth. So what Bhagavan Bhashyagaran says is you decouple or isolate the mind from the material possessions. Don't attach the mind to them. This is the secret. It is not saying that run away from money and don't earn and all this. Isolate your mind from the material possessions. Isolate the mind from the pursuits for enjoyment and collection of wealth. Isolate or decouple the mind from the impression that money only makes me happy in life. Greed, avoid that greed. This is the Trishna. So obtain your lot through fair deals, through doing the legitimate duties out of dharma, out of the the things which are entitled in your life, and lead a contented life. Don't allow the mind to be in a restless state. Always fill your thoughts with good thoughts, the thought of the God, the awareness, your own true reality. You connect your mind with that always, rather than preoccupying or allowing the mind to preoccupy with the materialistic desires. Again, going back to Bhagavad Gita 3rd chapter, the Karma Yogam, 17th verse, Yastu Atmaridireva Syad Atmadruptascha Manava Atmanyeva cha Santushta Tasya Karyam na Vidyate. The one who delights in the self alone will find the completeness in that self and will always be contented in life, and that person will be simple. Atmaradi, Atmatrupti and Atmasantushti. So, Mooda Jehihi Dhanagama Trishnam Kuru Sadbuddhim Manasi Vidrishnam Yellabhase Nijakarmo Vatam Vittam Tena Vinodaya Chittam. So always, ensure that the mind is not chasing these materialistic desires. Otherwise also the mind should be happy, because you are the true source of happiness. The Atma is the embodiment of all the happiness, the infinite happiness. The source of infinite happiness is within you. So then why you should depend upon the petty things from the external world where the mind is always looking at? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti.